वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की fateh. Welcome to this segment of Code Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation today is from Rag Dodi, Mahalla Panjama, composition of the fifth Nanak. And we will consider the Rahav verse first, which is at the very top, and then move down accordingly. The recitation. Ik oankar satgur prasad. This is, of course, the invocation to Ik oankar, which is realized through the Guru. The Rahav verse. Har Bisarat Sada Khuari, Taako tokha kaha vyapai, Jaako oot tuhari. Rahav. So Har Bisarat, in the forgetting of Har. Sada Khuari is perpetual ruin or perpetual degradation. And we'll talk about what that might mean. Taako tokha kaha vyapai. Where can deception and temptation seize that person? Taako. That person cannot be seized by deception, cannot be fooled, is not deceived. Taako tokha kaha vyapai, jaako, who oat tuhari, to whom your shelter belongs. In other words, one that has taken shelter in Har. But the one who has forgotten the Har is in perpetual ruin. What does that really mean? What does it mean to forget the Har? What does it mean to forget something that is not a thing to begin with? What does it mean to forget a thing, if it were a thing, that you don't know anything about? It's just a natural question. So what is forgetting of Har that leads to this perpetual ruin? I mean, if forgetting Visarya meant forgetting a fact that you once held in your mind, like somebody's phone number, I mean, the solution would be trivial. The cure, Simran, would be simple memory retrieval. But that's not what Gurbani means. It's not simple memory retrieval. So forgetting Hari or Har is not forgetting a content. It is forgetting a mode of attention. Or more precisely, it's forgetting the ground in which all attention occurs. So, for example, you don't know, quote unquote, breath the way you know a phone number. You don't know, quote unquote, silence the way you know a song. You don't know the space of a room the way you know the objects in it. And yet, breath, silence, space, they are not absent from your experience. As a matter of fact, that is the background that makes the foreground possible. That is what makes the objects in the foreground possible. They are present as the field in which everything else appears. You can, quote unquote, forget them not because they were ever a retained piece of information, but because your attention left them and you fastened yourself only to the contents. So Har in Gurbani is structurally like this. It's not a thing. It is not an object among things. After all, Gurbani calls it Nirgun, without form, without quality, and yet Sargun, appearing and as all forms. So think of Har as the isness in which things are. Things are in a field, but you can't see it, you can't smell it. It's like silence. So it is the isness in which things are, the presence that holds the world together. So when Gurbani says Har Bisarat, it is diagnosing a reorientation of consciousness. Attention has drifted from the field to the figures in the field, from the ocean to the wave, from the bare I am to the chattering I am this, I am that. That's the ego. The forgetting is real, but what has been forgotten is not a fact. It is a relationship to the ground that was always there and is still there. So we become experts in beings, in things, entities, objects, data, while losing touch with being, with a capital B, the sheer presence, which is the condition for anything to appear at all. So that's what Har is like. It's the presence that is always there. In the first stanza after the Rahau, Bin Simran jo jeevan balna, sarp jaise arjairi, Navkhandan ko raj kamave, ant chale go hari. Without Simran, jo jeevan, whatever life there is, balana, it is a burning existence. Sarp jaise arjari, like a long-lived serpent. Navkhandan ko raj kamave, even if one rules the kingdom of the 9 continents, meaning the universe, anta chale go hari, in the end, such a person, without Simran, without that remembrance, will depart like a loser. So the serpent, which is the illustration being used here, they tend to live a long life, but they are burning perpetually on the inside. Its own poison, venom, carries that toxin. It is always within. So for us, the venom is the ego. So a life without Simran is an outwardly life, but inwardly corroded, sustained yet suffering from the very thing it carries. So Simran is not memory retrieval. You're not trying to recall Har like a piece of information. You are turning attention from the figure back to the ground, from the object back to the field, from the busy surface back to the underlying presence. And this is why there is abhyas in Gurbani, practice. So you haven't forgotten Hari, you've forgotten Har as a wave forgets the ocean, by becoming so identified with its own rising and falling that the water it is made of disappears from view. So Simran is that recall of that ground, the center of one's being. And the concluding verse, Guna Nidan Gunatin hi gaye, Jako Kirpa Thari, So Sukhiya Tan Us Janma, Nanak Tis Balhari. Gun Nidhan Gunatin hi gaye. So, the treasure house of virtues, Guna Nidhan, Gun Tin hi gaye. Only they have sung its virtue. Singing the virtue means cultivating that virtue. Jaako kirpa tari. It's a matter of grace. So sukhiya, tan us janma. Sukhiya, that one is truly at peace. Blessed is such a birth. And Nanak says, this Balihari, I submit to such a person. So Gun Nidhan is richness of quality, richness of capacity. So singing itself is a divine gift. And that is what makes you sukhiya, at peace, comfortable. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.